Hey guys, Joe Defranco here, coming at you from Defranco's gym at the On It Academy in Austin, Texas. And today we're going to talk about incorporating unconventional exercises into your programming. Now, I get a lot of questions from athletes and clients that kind of get a little bit intimidated when they see implements like this steel mace or steel clubs, the battle ropes, all these unconventional implements. You know, there's a lot of great things you could do with them, but if you're used to the traditional barbell, dumbbell, and body weight type exercises, you might be a little intimidated to start using these things. And there's a lot of advanced exercises that you could see, you know, on the internet, on YouTube, and you see them and it just seems too much, it's overwhelming, so you neglect these implements overall. But the key is, you could implement these things into your programming, but the key is to start slowly. So what I found works the best to start getting acclimated to using things like the steel mace is perform conventional movements. Start with movements that you're comfortable with, movements that you've performed with the traditional barbell. Perform those movements with the unconventional implements. So you're gonna still get a new training stimulus, but it's a familiar exercise, familiar movement, so you're gonna be a little more comfortable with it. So I'm gonna give you 5 of my favorites to start with the steel mace that you guys could start out with. So first thing is going to be, they call these Barbarian Squats when you bring the steel mace overhead and kind of do a pullover motion, but we're gonna start just by holding the mace in front of you. As you can see, all the weight is in the top. So this is something that's very similar to a goblet squat, but you could replace the kettlebell or the dumbbell with the steel mace. The further down you hold it, the harder it is. Obviously, I can feel my shoulders, my abs, my obliques, even my hips, everything's contracting to prevent this mace from falling over. And now I could do a regular squat from here, trying to balance this weight. And now all the things that we've talked about with a proper barbell squat still stand true, but by having this kind of unconventional load, unconventional resistance, we're gonna work muscles a little bit differently than we would normally work them with using a kettlebell or a dumbbell. Now, another great movement is an RDL. So we're gonna take the mace with an overhand grip. We're gonna have one hand right where the weight is, and then the other hand maybe a couple inches from the end. And then what we're gonna do is a hip hinge. Now with this, you're almost gonna push with the offhand and you're pulling a little bit with the hand that's by the weight. So the key is I don't want this ball to drop. So as I perform my hinge motion, I'm pushing down with my left arm and almost pulling with my right. All right, so what that creates is this contraction of my left oblique and all the lateral muscles on the opposite side, which is much different than if I was doing this with a traditional barbell. So how your body is counterbalancing that offset load is a lot more difficult than just using a regular barbell, but the hip hinge pattern is exactly the same than what you're used to. So it's a great little exercise to segue in to some of the more advanced stuff. Right from there, I could go into a bent over row. So after I do my hinge, I could stay down there, tuck the chin. Same thing, I'm kind of pushing down with my left arm, pulling with my right, and I'm gonna perform a row while trying to keep this mace perfectly even. And again, that co-contraction on the opposite side is unlike anything I would feel if I was doing this with an evenly loaded barbell, all right? After the row, we could go with our underhand grip and we could perform curls. Once again, I'm kind of pushing down with this left arm and pulling up with the right, and I'm gonna do curls while I'm trying to keep this mace perfectly straight. Now again, curls are generally what you would consider just a bicep exercise, but while I'm doing that curl, my core is fired up on the opposite side, getting a lot of contraction that I wouldn't normally get with a regular curl. And then finally, a basic movement that most people know how to do, that we're gonna do with the mace. We're gonna kind of bring it up to our chest with that overhand grip, and we're gonna do an overhead press. This one, we really wanna contract the glutes and the abs, press overhead, and then come back down. Press overhead, come back down. Now again, my left hip abs, the whole core is really fired up compared to what it normally would be if I was just doing a standard overhead press. So you could start with those 5 exercises. You could do them individually. Make sure you always balance it out by doing an equal amount of sets on both sides. You could do them individually and rest in between, or you could do them in a complex fashion where you go one exercise right after the other in like a circuit type fashion. So that is an easy way to start incorporating the unconventional implements in somewhat of a conventional way. Once you get better at those and you're a little more comfortable, you can check out more advanced unconventional exercises at onitacademy.com.